Starting to the top left of the map, our Xenex player. Xenex Avenge here as the Protoss player in the red.
GSL Avenge.
With a very nice attack on Cloud Kingdom, but in the end he could not really take down Sniper. The third base was all he was able to kill, and a ton of roaches as well, but the transition into the Ling Mutalisk style with the roach support was just too much for him to handle. To the bottom right of Ohana, our MVP player, it is in the blue.
MVP Sniper.
MVP Sniper. Starting off with a 1-0 lead, and now on Ohana on the second map.
He looks pretty confident. You know, you saw him talk to one of his teammates here briefly before jumping into that second game as well, making sure he doesn't get too overconfident. And I love to see this pro harass. It's something that developed maybe like a year ago or so, but just to see that it's consistently being used in StarCraft II is awesome. I really, really like little things like that you can do to harm your opponent, harass your opponent right from the outset of the game.
Not a lot of surprises in the openings. We have the forward Parlin to start off with the Forge first, and on the other hand, obviously with the spawning pool. Oh, actually going for the Nexus first, and then transitioning into the Forge play. But we also have the spawning pool gasless expand for Sniper.
Yeah, the rush distance on this map, from the map preview and from first glance, looks pretty small, but actually it's really
huge,
far.
yeah,
it's really, really a big map. It doesn't look big at first glance, but it is pretty big.
That's basically what always happens when you have a two-player map. You see a two-player map and you think, yeah, this map is actually really, really small, so I can take my opponent.
Yeah, you think about like Xel'Naga Caverns or like
Exactly.
Dual Sight, for example, and you're like
Steps of War.
Steps of War, and you're like, it's probably a smaller, one of those smaller maps. But this map is even longer than Crossfire, for example. Dare I speak its name?
I thought you completely banned the map out of your mind, out of your brain. Like, yeah, you're not allowed to creep back into the area.
Well,
we're done with you.
That's basically what I tried to do, but every now and then, man, it sneaks back in. Like right now, in my weakened state after traveling, kind of coming cast, it's like trying to take over my body. Oh man. Suddenly, like, I can never forge fast expand again. I just forget how to do it. Simulator going up for Avenge, taking his second one as well. And the rocks being worked on right away for Sniper, which is so important for this map, because the third base is fairly comfortable to take if you can get rid of those rocks.
We talked about it earlier in the last map. It's just those few small things that you have to do early on, and well, at this point, this is exactly what he does. There's a third hatch at 420, so kind of a standard timing by now, and obviously the Overlord hovering in the vicinity of Avenge's natural expansion sees the wall in and everything, and we have one of the Zerglings being pretty busy on the map, scouting everywhere. He knows there is a probe somewhere, and he just wants to take it down.
Wants to take it down, wants to make sure he's not being cannoned, because as you mentioned earlier, maps with these big spaces behind the minerals can be easily cannon rushed, and Avenge is going to come over here, scouts this hatchery, and does go away. I was like, speaking of which, but no.
It's actually harder to cannon these.
Yeah, it's harder to cannon these because you can't wall off the cannon. But if you don't cover that back distance, if your opponent gets one cannon up and creeps the second one in, you can get cannoned in that way.
The problem with the third is always that it's so far away, so if you don't see it early on, then suddenly Lings won't be able to get there in time. But it's always taking a little bit of a gamble for the Protoss player, because he has to really... Whereas on the Natural, for example, or on the positions that we talked about, where there is only a little bit of space so you can wall in the cannon, you don't really care if it's spotted.
Yeah, but if like, it doesn't matter what you're going to do.
But if you do it at the third, you're always like hoping, please don't scout it, because you know exactly there will be Zerglings.
Yeah, very, very risky.
Oh, Stargate transition for
Stargate
Avenge.
here. Very different play out of Avenge this game, and double gases going down the natural in plain sight of the Overlord.
Overlord is just high-fiving. He's like, hey there, how you doing? And we don't have a +1 attack upgrade.
Yeah, that's something interesting. No, 10 drones on the way for Sniper. As he sees those double gases, he feels very comfortable knowing his opponent's not going to be hitting him with a fast timing attack. Nothing like what we saw last game.
Let's see what he's going to do with the Stargate pressure. He's going for the Void Ray immediately, but where the rocks are already dead, he's not really spreading his creep all that far. There's one active creep, 2 more on the map. I would love to see him use the second one to connect the second with the third. This would help him a lot in order to defend against the Void Ray.
He's making tons of drones, man. He is just making only drones. He's up to 50 drones already. He's making 5 more. I really like it.
Does he already have the roach spot? He's skipping on the roach spot. There it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, he needs to get that up pretty soon.
Yeah, I
Evo
was
Chamber
a bit
is done.
surprised.
And like you said, with the rock's already dead, the creep is not spread towards him really, towards his third base just yet, but he can do it at any time. And with just the one Void Ray, should be able to defend this fine. He even has the extra queen at his third base. He's spreading his creep towards his opponent, not really worried about connecting the bases. This pressure, though, is very common to see. If, not fail, but not do a ton of damage. It's just out there to clean up Overlords, clean up the Watchtowers, for example. Robo now going down for Avenge here, who has so far stayed with the one gate. Okay, now he's going to add the 3 more.
What I like about this Stargate play is that currently he's hiding his units. Most of the time you see him moving out with the Void Ray immediately, just trying to hunt down the Overlords and not being afraid to show them, because he just wants to force a reaction.
Yeah.
He shows the Void Rays and he's like, okay, well listen, now I started with the Stargate, here's my Void Ray, here are my Phoenixes, do something about it. Go transition into Hydralisk, we've seen Lucky do it, and then you run straight into my Colossi switch, something like this. But at this point you try to hide it a little bit and might be able to kill 1 or 2 queens because of it.
The spores are being forced, 5 of them in fact. Even the Hydro Ascend. See, exactly what you said before is still going to happen here, but he has to freak out a lot more because now the real threat is there, and this queen is, I think he's maybe overextending a little bit with how early he is picking that queen up, but now he's going to get this one.
Yeah, this queen is about to die.
Gotta make sure he doesn't lose any of those Phoenixes though. Does get away, and the spores, I mean, forcing that many Spore Crawlers is something Zerg never wants to have to make. That's 5 drones gone, and it's like paying money to lose drones.
I'm a little bit surprised that Sniper didn't react in time and started to pull his Overlords back, so he's losing additional 2, and there are a few Overlords hovering to the right as well. He positioned them, they positioned them perfectly in order to make sure that he scouts everything that's happening, but when he spotted the first Phoenixes in the Void Ray, he should have
pulled them back.
Yeah, exactly. He should have pulled them back in order to protect them with the Queens and the Spore Crawlers.
Yeah, exactly. And he does take out a few, but it doesn't supply block them. He was prepared for the scenario before it occurred. 6 Hydras coming out here, Hydraless range as well. I don't think he's really going to commit to the Hydras, though. Probably won't make any more than the 6, at least for now. And look at this, though. I really like...
Yep.
You guys can't see it just yet, but you will soon. He's cleaning up the creep tumors with that Void Ray. This is something not enough players do. Players like Genius are really the first to really do that.
Do you remember the game that we've seen between July and Maru, the opening match at the GSL finals, when he actually started with Banshee and Raven?
Got the Raven, yeah.
A very similar attempt to just get rid of the creep spat, and it works so well later on too. It's a little bit of a different scenario, but the goal is basically the same.
Yeah, it's a very good analogy. It's a very, very similar idea, and it's something that I'm surprised more Protosses don't do. Now, we're actually going to see him really push out with these Hydras, committing a little bit more than I thought, making 9 of them. He wants to force a cancel on this base, but the Colossus is already out. There's so many sentries. Like I mentioned before, the rush distance on this map may be a little bit tricky. I think almost Sniper felt like, oh, I can do it. Now he's like, it's actually just not going to work. Another Queen gets sniped in the middle of the map. You guys didn't catch that, but the creep spread does continue.
One of the problems that we should mention that he has is also he only has 9 Hydralisks, and there are 5 Phoenixes, so if they actually go and start lifting, it's not going to be easy to save this army, especially as you mentioned the Colossi. He currently has the same rage as the Hydralisks, but still, this army is not going to survive if the Phoenixes actually take shot.
Yeah, the Phoenixes indeed could do some serious damage. They're not with the army right now, though. But look at this. I mean, the force fields, the fact that he's got 2 Colossi out, he's fighting off creep. His upgrades are not finished, and we may see 1 Hydra target down a Colossus. Not quite, though. The Void Ray is charged, doing some extra damage here. And, well, this trade for Sniper is not too bad with the Zerlings coming in here. He's actually killing the majority of these Stalkers and the Immortal. And, wow, he gets a Colossus, too.
At this point, I really have to say that I think that Avenge made a huge mistake when he did not retreat with his Phoenixes. It was already halfway across the map in order to get back there. With a lift off with the Graviton Beams, he could have saved a lot more of those units.
Damn, he got another Immortal there. That was actually just such a good trade for Sniper in the end, and it should not have been. I feel like also he stopped controlling as well as he should have been. I don't like this.
He's out of sentries.
Yeah, he's out of sentries, but got to be careful with that many Colossi. Now that he's got this huge second group of Zerglings, if he fought with them together, it could have been good, but instead he's just going to lose half. Both players going to miss microing just a little bit. There's a fleet beacon on the way, and I don't think that's for Mothership. I think it's going to be for the range upgrade for the Phoenixes. It could potentially be for the Mothership. There are Corruptors on the way, and no Hive Tech whatsoever, as the Pathogen Glands, though, are coming out here.
This is going to be a very, very interesting here. Avenge should have been in a lot of a better position right now with the Phoenixes and the Graviton Beam. He could have negated a lot of those Hydralisks, and then the Colossi would have been in a better position.
Yeah, he should have crushed that army.
Yeah, but right now this is going to be difficult. The Overseer is going to get sniped by the Phoenixes, and these air units are just doing so much damage. They are really a nuisance, and so far there are no Infestors. Yes, Pathogen Glance on its way. +2/+2 is being researched for Sniper as well. But until we have Infestors, he can't use the Fungal to pin the Phoenixes down.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The Void Ray remains alive with 19 kills. The Fleet Beacon is out, but it's still not been used yet. Like I mentioned earlier, he doesn't have enough money for Mothership, really. He could invest in the range upgrade, which would make the Phoenix's range equal to that of the Corruptor, but the Corruptor is an armored air unit, and the reason Sniper is bringing it here is not just for the Colossi, but also just to have that air dominance against the Phoenixes. Looks like he's going to go in here. He wants to attack at the natural. If he can snipe this Forge, that'd be pretty big, because right now Avenge only has +1/1.
And those Phoenixes are actually great to deal with those Corruptors. It's not only taking the Corruptors down, but at the same time you want to protect your Colossi.
Exactly. And I think he's going to get this Forge no matter what. No way to defend it. Forge does fall, and that is huge because 2/2 upgrades are about to finish for these Zerglings, as well as +1 for the Corruptors.
It's really difficult to engage in here, but one of the Colossi dies immediately, and now the Phoenixes come in here, take down the Corruptors. But this is a lot of firepower for Sniper. Both of them are dropping in supply though, and it looks like the Protoss player, at least for the time being, has enough. The Corruptors are about to die, another Colossus bites the dust, but one of them is definitely going to survive here.
Yeah, it definitely will, and he does clean up the majority of these Zerglings. A few more Zerglings coming in now here to trade a little bit. And that Void Ray now up to 25 kills. Has been a real hero for this Protoss player. The supply now in favor of Avenge. I feel like there might have been a little bit too much of an overextension there by Sniper. He's got his Hive on the way. His upgrades are finishing. They weren't done before that fight, which I think if he had waited for the 2/2 and a few more units and some Infestors, wait for some Infestors to go for that attack, it would have been much more effective.
I like the creep spread of Sniper. That's something that I really have to confess, because he has creep just spread everywhere across the map. He already reached the middle of the map and crossed it. Double Forge now coming up, Hive on its way as mentioned. And at this point, these Phoenixes, they are just such a pain in the ass. It's amazing that Avenge is still able to keep them in the game. He needs to be a bit careful and move them away here. But he's just everywhere, sniping Overlord, sniping a few drones. They're very, very effective. And also, as we saw in the last fight, doing a really good job at protecting those Colossi.
Yeah, they really are. Sniper catching up in supply very quickly, though, with this 4th base. It's something that Avenge does not have just yet. He's making it now. And I feel like Avenge had a good plan for this map, but he's not quite been able to execute it. Like, what was up with the Fleet Beacon? He's not been able to use that. I mean, he should have known he wasn't going to be able to use it that early. He doesn't even have any Phoenix upgrades, oh no,
the Fungal. There it is. He kills the Infestor, but there are more of them. And finally, he's getting rid of these Phoenixes. It was about time.
Yeah, definitely about time. It's going to be a great feeling.
But coming back to your point, you are completely right. He has the Fleet Beacon, so now he can use it as we have the Greater Spy on its way. But let's be honest about it. If you're not facing Mutalisk, there's no point in getting the Fleet Beacon if your opponent doesn't have a Hive Tech.
Yeah, it seemed like a little bit weird. I feel like this build for him has been executed a little bit shakily. I think the attack with the Hydras and the Roaches really threw him off, especially after he lost a lot of units there.
He seemed to be a little bit scared. I mean, getting a Fleet Beacon is just... It costs quite a lot, so that's a lot of resources that you want to put in upgrades, for example, in earlier Forges. There's the Mothership right now. At this point, he can really make good use of it, but the Fleet Beacon is something that he could have built a lot later in the game. He should have built it
like 1 minute ago, but not 5 minutes ago.
When he realized there's a Hive Tech going on.
This is going to be a good time for him to build the Mothership, though. He's going to have it out right around the same time as these Broodlords finish morphing. 3/3 upgrades on the way, though, for Sniper. And he's getting +3 missile attacks. Probably going to continue to upgrade. Yeah, he's actually getting 3/3 for the ground weapons as well. Not the Carapace +3 just yet. But this +3 for the Broodlings is going to really impact how much damage they can do. And look at this. Spine's finishing up just in time to defend against this Zealot harass. He knew exactly what was coming.
There's also a Broodlord that is still in the vicinity and used a couple of Broodlings here at least for a few seconds, and now the rest of the Spine Crawler is going to be ready.
We're going to have an engagement here. A Fungal goes down, and this is looking really bad for Avenge. He cannot afford to lose these units right now. He needs the Mothership.
Too many of them already dead. We don't have any Archons just yet, do we? No.
Nope. He does not have any Archons. In fact, as far as I know, he doesn't have Templar Archives tech. He does not.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think he has any possibility of getting Archons into the play and therefore going for the Archon Toilet.
Yeah, his upgrades are going to be so behind too when these 3-3 upgrades finish. He's going to attack here. This is a risky move, and he knows his opponent is out of position. And it's going to work out for him in some ways, but he's going to lose potentially his own base in the meantime.
The cannon is gone, and now the roaches are moving in, taking down the first pile and trying to do some damage here, but the base is gone for Sniper. What about the Broodlords? Are they able to get in here in time? We have a few Fungals on the Stalkers. The Broodlords trying to catch up with the Protoss army. Another Fungal. He's Fungaling too much. He only catches 3 Stalkers here.
I don't like the Fungal usage there.
It's a lot of energy.
Stalkers, way too much energy used. Now he's going to need that energy, and he doesn't have as much as he would have liked. A good Fungal still. He's trying to outposition his opponent here, picking off 1 or 2 units where he can.
Beautiful Fungal, finally catching nearly everything, and now the Broodlords come into play, do a decent amount of damage. Sniper maxed out with his army, and now we have also the Dark Shrine. He tries to get a few Archons in there, but
he's
it's too
trying,
late.
and he lost his Nexus at this point. The only thing that Sniper is missing is Corruptors, but he has 7 in production right now. A Fungal does go down on the Mothership. He wants to take it out. Looks like he's just going to use these Broodlords to fight this army straight up, though, and Avenge is going to get what he wants. Does take out the Mothership, but he's going to lose a lot of his Broodlords in the process here.
But then not enough Stalkers. I don't think he's able to take down all of them. He's blinking in with reinforcement. This might be actually enough to take down the Broodlords after all, but no, he's
just lost so much. Even if he gets that last Broodlord, this has been a really good trade for Sniper, who's still on the 4th base, is up, of course, at the 3 o'clock position.
And he still has 1,200 minerals. Just the resources that he has banked up is so much.
He's got control of the center. He kept his Infestors alive, the majority of them. And what real power does Avenge have now? He doesn't have much. He's on 3 bases. His main base is mined out. The Corruptors are out this time. That was something he didn't have last time, but now he's going to have 9 Corruptors out with +2 air weapons. The DTs here that are warping in are going to be really scary.
Yeah.
There's no detection at that very critical 4th base.
He just took the Overseer down. I don't think that that's the second one. Actually, we have 4 additional ones. I take it back. So we have 4 Overseers across the map.
But they're not at the base where he's going to attack. He damaged it earlier with Zealots, and there's no way he's going to save it. This base will fall.
Definitely, because it's already so much damage. I mean, it's down to the orange, and only 2 DTs are needed here. This base is going to die. And then suddenly he's back on 3 bases, and he's nearly mined out.
Oh man, and he sent all 4 Overseers to the same location. Now he's going to be able to sneak the DTs into the main. This is exactly what Avenge needs to do here.
But he's morphing in another one.
Yep, and what's he really going to be able to accomplish here? He doesn't have enough firepower to really kill anything or focus anything down.
He might try to kill the
Infestation Pit. That would be really smart.
The Greater Spire as well, but we have so many queens with enough energy. They can go for the transfusers.
A lot of hesitation here. He's trying to split up his DTs now to save them, and in fact, he will save one. Doing a great job with his control. He still has not been able to resecure a 4th base, though. That's something that's really, really important. He's now going to try to make the 4th base over at the 9 o'clock position.
And he's just rebuilding the base, Sniper that is. He's rebuilding his bases. He has a base to the left side of the map. We have him build another one to the right side. Fungal hits the DT and takes it down. And with the army supply that he has, we have 170 against 120. And now 7 Broodlords being morphed. He's just making sure that he has this army once again.
Look at this. Look at the income tab for the cover. It's the Zerg player who's long distance mining from 2 bases has better income than Avenge because he has so many drones, and Avenge basically is on one almost mined out base that has like 50 probes on it. It's not looking good.
Yeah, I don't know what he can do, Wolf, at this point. It looks pretty scary, especially the amount of Broodlords that is joining the battle now. He really needs to rely on a nice Vortex. The problem is that we don't have the Mothership in play just yet, and it will need some time to accumulate the energy.
It needs time to get the energy. It's going to be really far away when it spawns. This Nexus, if it has to be cancelled, Sniper's base is going to be a checkmate. Look at how many Infestors he has here.
And this is the crucial thing. With all these Infestors, he can force him to fight.
Yeah, and indeed he does. Dropping some Infestors Terrans as well to tank damage, and he just basically has got his opponent so trapped here, he's not even wanting to use Fungals.
This is something you can't escape, and you know it. You know that you can't get away. Too much Fungal, and Sniper, he is going to take it.
GG. 2-0 win for Sniper. Mothership too late to the party there.
There's just no chance. 170 supply in the end against 70, and Sniper with a win. Looking pretty Yeah, pretty satisfied with this. He's like, yeah, well, that worked well.
Yeah, really well executed play from him in both games. Really defending against his opponent in the first game. And then in the second game, putting on some aggression. Avenge looking like he can't stop himself from laughing.
He scares me a little bit right now. I don't know why, but he looks a bit like a madman.
Yeah, he looks like he's off his rocker a little bit. Like he might walk out of that booth and like rip his clothes off and run out of the studio or something. They gotta watch him.
As long as he doesn't shoot us, I don't care.
Well, there's no guns in Korea, so it's fine.
You're right. No, I think they basically it seemed like they know each other quite well, and we're just chatting a little bit in the lobby, and
definitely.
So that's fine. And guys, after we just finished with our Zerg versus Protoss, we have a Terran mirror, and one that I certainly don't mind because we have.
Oh man, it's going to be Nada against Björn, and
Exactly.
Nada, someone who had some shaky moments, in his career. He was the most consistent pro gamer of all time, even in StarCraft II. Then one day he fell down to Code A, and he's never really been able to grasp that round of 4 of Code S again. He used to always make it to the round of 8 of Code S. It would be like a bad season for Nada when he only made it to the round of 16, and he's in Code A here again. He's got a tough opponent in Björn, who has basically resurrected himself. We saw him reappear in the Team League after a long hiatus, and he quit playing basically for a while after that incident with Coca. But now he's back. He's looking stronger than ever before, and I think Nada's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, definitely. So we will have a very great Terran versus Terran as our final match for the day. But before we head into the game, we're having another 5-minute break, and then we are back here at the GSL Code A with Calder and Wolf.